Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to another Cloud Path tutorial. Today's video is an extension of my last tutorial on creating a bot using the Microsoft Bot framework. This time we're going to take things a step further by adding some intelligence to our bot by feeding it with a knowledge base of questions and answers using the Qna Maker API service. We'll also give our bot a personality using the chit chat feature to make our bot more human-like and engaging to our users. This technology is just a lot of fun to play around with, and the possibilities are practically limitless. So if that all sounds good, please stick around and let's do this. All right, guys, so in order to complete this tutorial, we're going to need to have two things done first. Number one, we need to have our development environment set up for bot development, including all of the tools and software that we covered in the last video. So if you haven't seen that one yet, I highly recommend you pause this video, go through that tutorial, set up your dev environment, install the tools and software, and just know how to create your basic chat bot first. Then once you've done that, come on back to this video. Number two, we need to have a Microsoft Azure account. So if you don't have one, just go to azure.microsoft.com and just go through the motions to set up your free 1-year account. So you just come here, click on Start Free, and kind of go through the motions and fill out the form from here. All right? All right, guys, so first order of business, we need to install a couple of more tools to help us out here. So the first thing we need to do is install the Azure command line interface. And this link, as always, will be in the description of this video. So once you get to this page, just find the installation link for your operating system. I'm on Windows right now, so I'm going to click on that one and download the installer. All right, looks like the installer is downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and run that. All right, so I'm just going to accept the license agreement and go ahead and click on Install. And that'll take a second or two. All right, so while that is running in the background, the next thing we want to do is install the msbot tool. So I'm going to open up a terminal. And again, this command will be in the description of the video. So I'm just going to do a global install of msbot. All right, and I'll pause the video while these two things are running. All right, so the Azure CLI and msbot are both installed now. And the last thing that we need to install here and configure is something called ngrok, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, ngrok, which is basically tunneling software that's going to let our local bot instance communicate with services running in Azure in our account. So the way this is going to work basically is we're going to create a bunch of questions and answers that's going to be contained in something called a knowledge base, and that entire knowledge base is going to run in Qna Maker service in our Azure account, okay? And so in order for our local bot that we're developing to communicate with these things, we'll need to set up ngrok. All right, so if we just scroll down a little bit from here, we'll see a section called Installing and Configuring ngrok. Go ahead and click on the link here, which will take us to the landing page where we can navigate to download and download for Windows or other operating systems such as Mac or Linux. So I'm going to go ahead and download that executable file. And then we just need to unzip it. So I'm going to show in folder. Here we go. And I'm going to extract to this folder name. All right, so I'm just going to move this to probably just under, let's see, where do I want to put this? I'll go C, Program Files, and I'm just going to kind of paste it into here. So just keep this anywhere where you want on your computer, and then what we're going to do is open the emulator and navigate to the executable file here within the folder. So that way we connect the emulator with ngrok. All right, so let's do that next. I am going to open up my bot framework emulator. Now you guys should have this installed already if you went through the first video. If not, just refer to that for instructions on where to get this downloaded from. But basically what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to click on the little gear here in the bottom left-hand corner, which is Settings. And then there's a configuration section right here for ngrok. So I'm going to browse, and then just browse to that exe file that we were just looking at a second ago. And sorry if my screen is a little bit hard to see. I don't really have a good way to, I'm not sure how to increase the font size for the folder system here. But I'm basically just going to navigate to that folder. Here we go, ngrok stable Windows, and just point to that exe. All right. And let's see, I'm going to select Run ngrok when emulator starts up. All right, and just click on Save. And with that, our configuration is complete. So the next thing we're going to do is start to look at our knowledge base and go ahead and set up some of our questions and answers for our bot. All right, guys, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to clone the BotBuilder samples library. So this repository or library is just a collection of samples. It contains bots, it contains knowledge bases, and a bunch of other features. So what we can do here is base our knowledge base off one of the existing ones from the library. We'll wire that up with our bot, get that working, and then we'll start to edit and change some of the questions, or probably add some new questions and answers, so we can see how to add our own and kind of customize it from there. All right, so again, this link is going to be in the description of the video, but let's open a browser and go to the bot samples page. All right, so Microsoft BotBuilder samples. Let's go ahead and grab the repo URL from the clone or download button here. Make sure, whoops, yeah, I guess that's all I need to do here. All right, and I'm going to go back over to my command line interface, and let's see. I need to navigate to my projects folder here. Let's see. Let's see, where do I want to go? Oh yeah, Azure bots. So you guys may have a different folder structure here, but I'm just trying to keep things organized. All right, and I'm going to do git clone and copy my repo URL. All right, so that's going to download. And then what we'll do is we'll open it up in our code editor so we can take a look. All right, so I'm going to open up Visual Code. All right, it's still downloading. But let's see. I need to go up a level here, so I'm going to open folder, just open the root folder probably. Where's my Azure bots? Ah, okay, so it's under projects. Yeah, so just wherever you guys have saved this repo, just try to open it up in your Visual Code or whatever other editor you're using so we can take a look. All right, so once you get into the root folder, what we're looking for is going to be a knowledge base that should be under BotBuilder samples, I believe. And then samples, let's see, we want JavaScript Node.js. And Qna Maker, which happens to be number 11 here. Cognitive models. And then smartlightfaq.tsv. So this is the file that we're going to target once we create our knowledge base. All right, so just to show you guys kind of what's in here, there's a bunch of other, here's an Echo bot, bunch of other different kind of bots that you can reference, during your development. All right, guys, so the next step is going to be to head on over to qnamaker.ai so we can start to set up our knowledge base as well as our Qna Maker service in Azure. All right. So I'm already signed in here, but if you guys have created an Azure account, you can use that same login and password to sign in here. All right. So once you sign in, then let's go ahead and click on Create a Knowledge Base. All right. And the first step is going to be to create a Q&A service, which is actually going to run the knowledge base or interact with the knowledge base in Azure. So let's go ahead and click on Create a Q&A service. All right, and that's going to go ahead and open up the Microsoft Azure portal and allow me to create a new service. So let's see, I'm just going to call this my Q&A service. All right, so your subscription, if you've just created a new account and maybe something like free tier, I'm on pay as you go, so I'm going to leave that selected. It's my only option. Pricing tier, I'm just going to choose the lowest one here. I'm going to clean up this resource when we're done, so there won't be any ongoing cost associated with this. And if you've just created your account, there won't be any cost because you're still within the free tier window. All right, go ahead and choose the location closest to you. For me, it's West US 2. For resource group, I don't have any, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Create New. And let's just say my bots RG for resource group. Okay. All right, again, for the pricing tier, I'm just going to choose the lowest one, 3 indexes. Search location is West US 2. That's good. App name, my Q&A service. That's been auto-populated, so just go ahead and leave that as the default. Website location, West US 2, that's good. And Apps Insight location, I'll choose the same. Oh, I guess I don't have, there's more of a limited set of choices, so I'll just leave it as East US. That's only available in that region. Okay, and finally, I'll go ahead and click on Create. That's going to take a second or two, so I'll go ahead and pause it. All right, so now that our Q&A service has completed generating, we can go back over to qnamaker.ai and continue to create our knowledge base. So let's go on to step 2, and let's click the refresh button here. So that'll load the service that we just created. All right, first drop down, select tenant. We can go ahead and select our default account name there. Azure subscription name. So you select the same subscription that you selected in the previous step when you created the service. And then select service. We should find the service that we previously created, so go ahead and select that. All right, name your KB, name your knowledge base. So I'm just going to call this my test KB. Yeah, not very creative, but just want to be able to identify it. My test KB. Populate your KB. So here's where we'll point to that test file that we downloaded from the, what was it called, the bot maker. Qna Maker samples, or sorry, BotBuilder samples. So let's go to Add File, and we can navigate to that location on our machine. So where do I have that? Let's see. Yeah, C drive, projects. Where was it? Azure bots. BotBuilder samples, samples, JavaScript Node.js, 11 Qna Maker. It's deeply nested. Cognitive models, and here we go, Smart Light FAQ. So we'll select that and open. There's a lot of setup for this, guys, so thanks for bearing with me. The setup's going to be more than probably 2/3 of this video. All right, so but once we're done with this, it'll start to get interesting. All right, so chit chat, this is where we can actually specify a personality for our bot. And let's just take a look at what they have to offer here. So I'll just open this in a new tab, add chit chat to a knowledge base. So here's just some examples of what each personality would look like. So if the user says, "You are awesome," the professional personality would say, "I aim to serve." Okay. The friend says, "That's so nice of you." And the comic says, "Flattery. I like it." So as you can see, there's sort of the, straight edge professional. I would say this is like the safe variant, if you don't want to be too friendly or too funny or anything like that, but also probably the most boring. This is the nice one, the happy path. And then the comic, it's, a little bit of sarcasm, some jokes. Some of them are pretty funny. Will you marry me? Sure. Take me to the city hall. See what happens. All right. So, all right, let's go back to QA Maker. I'm going to choose the comic, because it's important to laugh once in a while. All right. And with that, we can go to step 5, create your KB. So go ahead and click on that call to action. And this is going to take a minute to generate. So I'll go ahead and pause the video. All right, guys, so our knowledge base has been created, and just another side note on that chit-chat stuff, it's obviously this is all very basic and simple and just kind of like the beginning of AI, but you can imagine, how this could be taken further, if Imagine somebody had, just a database of millions of different personalities, possibly gathered from, Facebook or Google or something like that. And then, you load that into a knowledge base and you have like thousands or millions of different personalities. And then you just add more logic on top of that. And that's where you really start to get to a point where, you get something very human-like. And maybe that's a couple of years off or many years off. But it's just interesting to see kind of the beginning of how this is all put together. Okay, so anyway, we've got our knowledge base here, and so you can kind of see for the first time how this is going to be set up, right? It's just a very simple, 2-column table, basically, with questions and answers. So here's some of the questions that we're going to be able to test this thing out with once we integrate it. Why does the light not work? The simplest way to troubleshoot your smart light is to turn it off and on, much like a computer. So yeah, there's a bank of questions here, and as you can see, there's a bunch of other pages. I think once you get to the second page, this is strictly the chit chat. So this is no longer specific to the light or the electricity or anything like that. This is just random stuff here. Like, can you sleep? Do you have boogers? Do you ever sleep? Not so far. So it's kind of funny to look and see what the different answers here are that they've programmed in. And so after we test this out, we'll be able to add some of our own questions and answers, and that's when it'll get really interesting. Okay, so first what we need to do is create a new bot, and we'll use the Yeoman generator, similar to what we did in the previous tutorial. So, all right, so now I want to go back into Git Bash and create a new bot. So I'm going to say yo BotBuilder. All right, and we'll call this one Q&A bot v4. Okay, we'll just enter through this one. JavaScript, that's good. Simple echo bot, that's fine. And should I go ahead and create? Yes. All right, and that is done. So our new bot is ready for configuration. All right, so actually one more thing we need to do before we start coding our integration is publish our Q&A knowledge base. So let's go back to knowledge base and go ahead and click on Save and Train. Okay, and when this is done, we should have a publish button, and we'll go ahead and click that. All right, is that done? Oh, I guess it's, where is it? Publish. Oh, okay, so we got to go to the Publish tab and then click the Publish button. There we go. All right, so this is actually going to publish our knowledge base to our Azure account and create an endpoint, which we can then use in our integration. So that's going to be important to get that information. And actually, we're going to use a bunch of the information from here. So I'll tell you what, let me just, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to copy this and paste it into Visual Code and then pick out the pieces I need from there. So, okay, if we go back to Visual Code, I've got our bot opened. And what we want to do, we're looking for our bot file, .bot. Okay, so let me open that a bit bigger here. All right, so what we're looking to do here is to add another service. So I'm going to place a comma right here after that closing bracket and create a new object right underneath it. So what I'm going to do for now is just paste all that data that I grabbed from knowledge base. All right, and I'll start to use that to fill in this new service object. All right, so the first parameter is going to be type, as in type of service. And we could just add Q&A, like that. Okay. Next one's going to be name, as in knowledge base name. So knowledge base name, what did we call it? Let me go back to knowledge base. Short memory. And where's the name of this thing? What do we call it? Can't remember. Okay. Settings maybe? There we go. My test KB. Okay, back to Visual Studio. And there's the name. All right. Next property is going to be knowledge base ID. That one we should be able to grab right from here in the post URL. All right, next parameter is going to be host name. Now, this is the host name of the Q&A service that we set up in Azure. So let's go back over to our Azure portal. And all right, so let's go to all resources and we can search for it. And it should be right here. Okay, so my Q&A service. Overview. Here's what I'm looking for. All right, so we want to copy that whole endpoint right here. And actually, we don't need the v4, we just need that much. So we need like the full domain.com/Qna Maker. All right. Next parameter is going to be endpoint key. Again, we should be able to grab that from the same place. Or, sorry, this one's actually right here. So this is kind of haphazard. We're grabbing stuff from all over the place, but hopefully you guys are able to follow. I'm kind of stumbling through this myself because I've only done this once or twice. All right, next parameter is going to be subscription key. And subscription key we're going to grab from Azure. So let's go back here. And we're looking for our subscriptions. All right, so I'm just going to go up into the search bar at the top of Azure and type in subscriptions. And that looks like it. And here's what we're looking for, our subscription ID or subscription key. So I'm just going to grab that. Let me just make sure that's the right thing. Subscription ID, subscription key. I'm assuming that's the same thing, but I may be wrong, so let's just try it out. All right, and what else do we need? ID. So we just need an ID, and this is internal, specific to this service object, so it can really be anything we want. So I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3. All right, so get rid of that empty space, and I'm going to get rid of everything here that I copied and pasted. All right, and let's go ahead and save the file. All right, so the next thing we want to do here is to install the BotBuilder AI NPM package. And basically this package is what allows our local bot to interact with our Q&A service out on Azure. All right, so I'm inside my bot project, and so I'm going to do npm I BotBuilder AI. Okay. And I'll go ahead and let that install. And while that's running in the background, I'll go ahead and bring in the package. So let's pop open index.js, which is the entry point into our application. And I'm going to go right on line 7 below this restify import. Okay. And I can bring in the Q&A Maker object. Looks just like that. And then we'll do a require BotBuilder AI. All right. So now that that package is installed and imported, we'll just make sure it's still installed. Yep. Or already installed, I should say. All right. So now the next step is going to be to read in those values from the configuration file. So we want to make sure we go down below the spot where that's defined, which is right here on line 44. So let's see. Let's go right below this one. Let's go like line 58. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We have to assume that there could be more than one Q&A services configured in the bot file in this configuration. All right. So we only have one in this case, but we need to make our code robust enough to where it could handle it if there were, several of these entries. So we'll create an empty array object, and we'll loop through all the config services, and any of them that are tagged with the Q&A name will push into this array. All right. So the first thing we can do is set up a new variable for this array, and we'll call it Q&A services. Set that to an empty array. And then on the next line, we can loop through those services in the config. So we'll say bot config, which refers to this outer object in our config file, in our .bot file. All right, so we're going to be looping through this services array right here. So we'll say bot config dot services, and let's do a map, and then the iterator will be service. Use an arrow function, and I'll just close that up. All right, so we want to have an if statement, and then we'll say if the type equals Q&A, if the service.type equals Q&A. So if we know we're dealing with a Q&A service, then we'll push it into this array. All right. All right, but first we need to set up like a little params object to take in some of the config values. So we'll say const endpoint. All right, and there's going to be three parameters here, or sorry, three properties. So I'll say knowledge base ID. Oops, base ID. Oops, it's a property. So service dot, and what was that property name? KBID. Service.kbid. All right. All right. Next one's going to be endpoint key. Endpoint key. Okay, and that one is just endpoint key. Same thing. Service.endpoint key. And finally, host. And that one is service.hostname. Just like that. All right. So now that we've collected that information, what we can do is we can create a new Qna Maker object using the new syntax. So we can do like a new Qna Maker, okay, using the constructor. And this will take in two parameters. First is the endpoint object that we just created above, endpoint. The second is an optional options parameter. So for now, let's just pass in an empty object for that. So we'll say const options equals empty object. All right, now finally, we actually want to take this new Qna Maker object and push it into this array. So let me grab that array name, and I'll do dot push, and we'll push that in there. All right, and I think that looks complete. So just want to mention also, if you guys don't feel like typing out all this code, because it's getting to be a lot, and the setup is going way longer than I thought it would, I will provide the completed code base for this bot for you guys to download. So if you don't feel like typing it out, you can just run this code locally and then start to play with the knowledge base. So that'll be a short path for you to get this set up. All right, what is next? All right, so the next thing we need to do is to pass this Qna services array, the completed array, into the mybot constructor where we instantiate a new instance of the bot. So let's grab this variable name, and then we're looking for, where is it? Right here, create the main dialog. So where we do constant mybot equals new mybot, we'll pass in Qna services. Now we also have to modify the mybot class because as of now it doesn't take any parameters. So we need to add a constructor to the mybot class. Let's pop up in our bot.js file. Here it is. So let's go right above our async on turn, and we'll add a constructor here. All right, so let's say constructor, and we'll pass in Qna services. And then we'll just set a class property, this dot, same thing, Qna services equals Qna services. There, okay, so now we're able to pass this into our bot instance. All right, so our final coding task here is going to be to update our on-turn handler. All right, so when we get a message in from the user, we're going to basically take that message and route it through our Qna service to see if there's a matching answer in our knowledge base. All right, and if there's not, then we're just going to reply with some generic text kind of explaining or prompting the user hey, this is a light service bot, please ask a relevant question. All right, and there's enough intelligence in our Q&A service that even if there isn't an exact match to one of the questions in the knowledge base, if there's one or two keywords or something close, it'll typically come up with an answer. So it's pretty cool in that it doesn't have to be word for word perfect. All right, so let's go into the first if condition here, where our activity type is a message, and we can. Yeah, we don't need this code, so we'll go ahead and delete the code that's existing there. All right, so the first thing we want to do is loop through our services. And we're going to use an old school for loop here. So, I typically use map these days for looping, but there's a couple of reasons why we're going to stick with an old school loop here. Things can get kind of complicated when you're doing a async await inside of a map. And one of the most common workaround for that is to use promises all. But in this case, I want to be able to short circuit the loop in the case that we find a match. So I don't want to execute a bunch of other HTTP requests if we've already found a map. So just to simplify things, we're going to go ahead and use an old school loop here. So I'm going to say I is less than this.Q&A services length. Increment I, okay, and then create the body of our for loop. So then here's where we'll make our REST call. So we'll say result. All right, so we'll do await. Our on turn is already async, so we can use await inside of it. This dot Q&A services of I dot, we can call the get answers method, get answers, very useful method, and we'll pass in the turn context. And the turn context contains the message basically that's been passed in from the user, along with a bunch of other metadata about the turn. All right, so if there is a match, then it'll be right here in QA results. Okay, which is an array. So what we can do is we can check this now and then return out of the function if there is a result, otherwise display our default text. So let's see, I want to go right below this. Okay, I still want to be inside my for loop, so let's go right below that. Then we'll say if. So let's say if there's any entry in this, basically, then await turn context. We'll basically answer with that activity, with that result. So Q&A results dot answer. This is a lot of typing, so I really hope that I'm not making any obvious mistake here. But you guys will be able to just download this code if you want, so you don't have to type it out manually. I wonder if I should have paused the video and typed this out and then come back, but I feel like that's kind of cheating at this point since I've already done most of it. Anyway. All right, so if we have an answer, we're going to send it back to the user via the turn context and return, which will get us basically out of this function. So we can say outside of this for, so basically if we loop through everything and we still don't have an answer, then what do we want to do? So we'll give them an answer anyway, turn context, and we'll just type something in manually. All right, and I just stopped the video there so I could go ahead and type this out and paste it. No sense making you guys suffer through that. All right, so let's save our file. Let's go ahead and save all the files we've changed. I didn't save my index file. All right, and hopefully if everything has gone well, then we can go ahead and test this thing and probably try one of the questions from our base. Well, in fact, let's grab this one right here. All right, so I'm going to go back to git bash, and let's start this guy up. So I'm going to say node index.js. And actually, I'm going to need to grab my URL. So where's that going to be? Yeah, so if you go to your .bot file, you can grab the endpoint, your local endpoint. And then let's go back to our emulator. Hope you guys are following me. I hope I'm not going too fast here. All right, and let's do open bot and go ahead and paste in that endpoint and hit connect. All right, so let's just type in hello and see if this thing's even working. Oops, something went wrong. What went wrong? Let's try again. All right, well, there's our error handling. So I am not sure what's going wrong at this point. Let me check my configuration. I bet it's something in the configuration file. Let me pause the video, figure this out, and I'll come back and let you guys know. All right, so I did find two things that were wrong that could be the part of the problem. So the first here, if we look at the console, we're getting an invalid KB ID. And I checked the value. The value seems correct, but when I went back up here around line 62, my spelling is incorrect here for this knowledge base ID. So it should be, I got my L and E mixed up here, so I got them reversed. Knowledge base ID. So that might solve that problem. I'm not saying that's completely it. I don't know. And then the other thing, I think I had the wrong host name in my config file here. So I think I may have copied it from the Azure portal instead of the knowledge base. So we want to actually get that from our Qna Maker.ai, sort of the results that it gives you after it creates the knowledge base. This line right here where it says host. So just make sure you're getting the host from here as opposed to in Azure. And I've already copied and pasted it here. So that's updated. My spelling's corrected. Let's restart the service and try it again. All right, so I'm going to do node index.js. Not sure if this fixed it, but those two things definitely needed to be corrected anyway, so we'll see. And, oops, I'm going to grab my URL again. Here we go. All right, back to emulator. And, yeah, open bot. Paste that in and connect. So fingers crossed, let's try it again. Hey, all right, cool. So it is working. Awesome. So I don't know, let me try something. Just something simple. What's your name? What's in a name? Not much, apparently, because I don't have one. So you see, this is, you know, you're seeing the, what is it? The funny personality in action right here. So this isn't necessarily a question that's related to the knowledge base that we're connecting to. This is just a general question. So you can say something like this. Will you marry me? Sure. Take me to City Hall, see what happens. Let's see. What kind of beer do you like? They inquire a lot of things I don't have, like a digestive system and silverware. All right, so that's pretty cool that our bot now has a personality. He's funny. He's a joke maker. Funny man. All right, so let's go back to the knowledge base and maybe grab a question or two from there and just make sure that's working. My knowledge bases. There we go, my test KB. So I'm going to drill into this and okay, so let's see, what's a question we can ask? Light won't turn on. Let's try that. Light won't turn on. And a response, check the connection to the wall outlet to make sure it's plugged in properly. Now let's try the same question, but we'll word it slightly different. So the light won't turn. Okay, so that's like a variation of the original question. And we get the same answer. So it's intelligent enough to kind of guess what you're asking. light won't. Let's try that. Yeah, same thing. So it's very flexible. It's very smart. If somebody has a typo or something like that, we're probably going to get an answer that's close to what the intent is through knowledge base. Let's try another one. See, this is the fun part. The integration took so long. But I think it's the kind of thing where once you do it once or twice, and it's like second nature. How long does the light's battery last for? Can I copy this? No? Oh, yeah. Sweet. Okay. Let's go back. How long does the light's battery last for? Yeah. And again, we can do like, how long does the, I wonder if that'll come up with anything. Yeah, so it's not even close. How long does the, and it's doing a string match, I guess, against the potential questions and what I'm typing in, and this is the closest match, so it's returning the right answer. That's really cool. All right, so let's take it a step further. Let's go back to our knowledge base and add a question or two. So how can we do that? See this right here where it says add, let me make it a little bit bigger. Add Q&A pair. So we can click on that, and here we can type in a question. What are you up to this weekend? And let's see. Hanging out at the beach, man. All right. So I'll grab this actually. I've done enough typing in this lesson. So I'm going to do save and train, and then once that's done, I'm going to publish this again back to Azure. So that's a necessary step in order for our local bot to be able to pick up this change. So yeah, this is really cool. You can add your own questions, you can modify the existing ones, and then you have like the personality on top of that. Publish. Oh, and the last thing we can test is like what no match. What if I put in a question that's not even anywhere close to anything in the knowledge base? So we have to make sure that our default text is coming back. All right, so that's been deployed. I don't know if I need to reconnect to the bot emulator, but let's just try it. If this doesn't work, I'll reconnect. Yeah, and there we go. It's already working. So hanging out at the beach, man. I guess that makes sense because the emulator is just a client, and it's all REST, so it's stateless. Cool. So what's like a totally random question that wouldn't be part of the knowledge base? How is it? Makes no sense at all. Living the dream. Oh my gosh, you see how good this is? Like I can't even put in a question that it can't respond to. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do something really off the wall. Just type in some random dummy text. Oops, something went wrong. I wonder if that's the correct response or not. Let's try our hello. Okay, so it's not offline or unable to connect or anything. That's just the response for nonsense text. How much does the light cost? Now I'm trying to find a question that's somewhat... Okay, so see, that one doesn't quite make sense. So this is a case where you may want to add that question back into the knowledge base. Or not back in, but you may want to add that to the knowledge base. Because it's trying to find the closest answer to that question, but as you can see in this situation, it doesn't really make sense. So, you can refine this thing and make it smarter, and that's what this is all about, adding intelligence and making it smarter based on your customer feedback or, whatever you may want to add into the system. All right, so I think that's good. We've tested this thing out. It's working. It's intelligent. It's able to respond to our questions and the sample questions, and it has a personality, so that makes it all that more interesting. Well, this lesson has gone farther than it's taken longer than I really anticipated. So I think we're going to call it quits here. I'll be definitely doing more with Microsoft bots in the future. I think the next video I'm going to do will be a Lewis integration, which is another library that can add intelligence to this thing. So yeah, so that is Qna Maker in a nutshell. And obviously you can see the possibilities and what you could possibly do with this thing. I mean, it's really unlimited. So thanks for sticking with me, guys. I know this one got a little bit long, and there's a lot of setup involved before we got to the fun stuff. So like I said, I'll make the code base available so you guys can just download it, run it, and kind of get to the point quicker. But thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, if you found it useful, please consider subscribing to the Cloud Path channel. I'd love to have you. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. All right, take care now. Bye.